Welcome to the DJ Pdogg in the Mix podcast, hosted by 18-year industry veteran DJ Pdogg. DJ Pdogg will share stories and have guests that focus on giving artists the tools needed for a thriving music career and a path to better health. You are now in the mix with DJ Pdogg. Ladies and gentlemen, it is like, guys, you got to understand, bro. I've got, and I say this almost every show, and it's always true every show, but I've got an absolute legend on the show, bro. And this guy, and we're going to get into the stories and all that good stuff on just how much this legend has impacted me, okay, to be where I am today. And we're going to talk a lot about that. But I'm telling you guys, he's not only a legend to me, but this guy is a legend all across the board, all right? He's an author. He's a pastor. He's a hip-hop artist. He's got legendary hip-hop artists, bro, that follows him on Twitter. Chuck D, bro. Are you kidding me? Chuck D, okay? Gave him the follow on Twitter, okay? That's how I can't see this guy. And we're lucky and blessed to have him on the show from the legendary Christian hip-hop group, Transformation Crusade. Please welcome Pastor Dr. Chris Williamson.
Oh man, I need to have you introduce me more often, brother. Man, it's good to be here. Finally glad that we could make this work, that we could sit down and chop it up a little bit.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny. Every single person that I bring onto the show and I give them an introduction, they all say some of the same things. I may go into the business of just pre-recording people's intros. You know, maybe we'll make that into a thing. I don't know.
Come on.
Man, it has been, I would say, almost 18 years in the making, okay, for us to have this conversation. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, okay, because we got to talk about you a little bit and who you are. And in somewhere in all of that, I'll insert my quick little blurbs and stories in there somewhere. But first of all, man, how are you guys doing, man? Like, you're out there in Tennessee. You know, you're doing your thing with your church, Strong Tower Church. I've had an opportunity to visit your church. Had an amazing time there, connecting with you in person. That was my first time connecting with you in person. That was years ago now. That was probably like 10 years ago now.
Wow.
But nonetheless, how you doing, man?
We're doing well, man. We're blessed and trying to fight this pollen out here. My left eye about closed, but my mouth is all right. But no, we're doing fine. I have allergies until probably 5 years ago.
Wow.
Growing up in Baltimore, Maryland, I didn't fool with that stuff. But then coming here to Tennessee, I guess as I'm getting older, my defenses are going down or something. But we're doing well. We're fine. This is our 26th year of local church ministry.
Nice.
Pastoring a multiracial church here in the South, led by a black man. And, you know, you don't see many of these models out there, but we're grateful to be a part of God's diverse kingdom, doing our part.
There you go. With that, going back to that pollen, bro, I feel like with allergy season coming, you almost got to have a sign around your neck saying, hey, it's allergies, not the COVID. You know what I mean?
Right. Especially if you get that cough.
Oh, my gosh. Forget about it, bro.
But no, I don't have a cough. My eye just leaks, man, and swells up. So, but other than that, I'm cool.
Yeah, I've been there, done that, bro. I'm not looking forward to the pollen rising. And I live in the woods, bro, so we get it real bad out here. But nonetheless, man, I'm excited to have you on the show. And I guess let's just dive right into it, bro, because and I want you to kind of take your time and share your story. You know, the whole idea of the show is to inspire young artists, veteran artists, whatever, even if you're not an artist. Hopefully that the stories that anybody that I bring on the show, any stories that they share can inspire them in some way, form or fashion. And your story has personally inspired me. And again, I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but I want to talk about your involvement specifically in the hip hop world, the Christian hip hop world. Kind of let us know how you got started in the music business, and then we'll kind of take it from there. And anything you want to share in between, we'll just kind of chop it up right there and start there.
Okay. Well, in order to do that, we're gonna have to go back a little bit,
Okay.
back to really 1978, 79.
Okay.
I remember when Rapper's Delight came out.
Wow.
Really, the first pop crossover hip hop record.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hip hop was definitely underground in New York at the time, but hadn't hit the mainstream until Rapper's Delight came from Sugar Hill Gang.
Yeah.
And so I was in the sixth grade. We had a record player, and I remember getting that record, playing that record over and over and memorized every single word on that song. And then from there, Run DMC came out with a single. It's like that. And on the B was Sucker MCs. So
Nice.
then I got hooked on Run DMC because Run DMC was, street, and we could identify better with them than with the Sugar Hill Gang. And so from there, man, I wanted to be DJ Run. That was like the guy I wanted to be. And I had a partner back in the day, and he wanted to be like DMC. So we created our own rap group following Run DMC, and this moved on into high school. So I was the kind of athlete. I didn't like to really get in front of people, but for some reason I gravitated towards rap music, and we would rap in the cafeteria, rap in the hallways, and this was really going on your year and my senior year in high school, where we had a following. Me and my partner, his name was Icy Mike.
Icy Mike.
My name was MC Romeo. Yeah, my name was MC Romeo. That was the best I could do. My brother, that name, but we would tear it up in Baltimore County, and in our high school, and until we met some dudes from Baltimore City who took us down, called the We Rock Crew. But again, anyway, yeah. Anyway, I digress. Let me go. And then I went to college.
Okay.
And I didn't want to go to a Christian college. I had just become a Christian right before my 11th grade year, but I wasn't growing as a disciple. And it was one of those kind of relationships with the Lord that I would be tripping on Friday and then go to church on Sunday, pray the sinner's prayer again, just to make sure. And that's how I was living,
Yeah.
in my junior and senior in high school. And I had visited a Christian college because they had recruited at my church. And it was called Liberty University.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing this thing called College for a Weekend.
Yeah.
And so my parents wanted me to go to college for a weekend. And I went my junior year in high school and my senior year in high school. I went twice. And it was something about that place in Lynchburg, Virginia, that I liked. It was just something about the place. There weren't many black people there. It's in the mountains, red clay is everywhere. Again, Lynch.
And it's called Lynchburg, right?
Virginia. Yeah, man. But it was something about the place. And I didn't know it was the Spirit of the Lord, like, beginning to minister to my heart to say, this is where I want you to be. But I didn't have that vision. But my father did. My father, who passed away in year 2000, my father said, son, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you need to go to Liberty University. And so I said, okay, I'll go to Liberty. And since they weren't recruiting me in football, I had to walk on to the football team in order to try to get a scholarship, earn some money, because we didn't have money for tuition.
Wow.
And so I went there and I broke my leg in summer practice before the season started, even before the school year began. So I was up, trying to earn my spot and was doing well. And I broke my leg, never broke a bone playing football in my life, but broke it so bad they had to screw my leg back together.
Wow.
And that was when I developed a prayer life, because I'm away from home, 4.5 hours away from home. And again, don't have any money for school. One of the only blacks there outside the football team. And that's where me and the Lord began to talk to each other. And then there was a man who took me under his wing, one of the few African-American vice presidents at the school at the time. His name was Michael Faulkner. And he began to disciple me, but he didn't call it discipleship. It wasn't a program. But it was just a thing where he would bring me to his office and we would open up the Bible and talk about it. And then he showed me how to use a concordance, how to use a Bible dictionary. And he knew that I like rap music. And I'm listening to, again, Run DMC and the Beastie Boys, LL Cool J, Fat Boys, all these groups that, that music was illegal at Liberty.
Absolutely.
But, I'm walking around that campus, I'm wearing Kango hats and shell-toe Adidas. I'm sticking out and I want to stick out. I'm trying to let these brothers know, don't run up on me and all this kind of stuff. But he saw something in me. And he said, "Have you ever thought about writing raps about God?"
Hmm.
I said, "No, no, never have." And he says, "I tell you what, if you get a song, I'll take you out with me when I speak." I said, "Oh, cool," because every rapper's looking for a stage.
Absolutely.
So I wrote a song, man, listening to a sermon, and it just hit me, and I just started writing. I couldn't stop, and so I got my little song together. And he would take me out when he spoke. He just didn't tell me we were going to be going to detention centers, jails, street corners, things like
Right.
that. And we would do it, man. And I would have my little rap, my little boom box that would play a rap beat, and dudes would stop playing basketball and come over and listen to us.
Wow.
And so I'm a young guy, I'm a freshman, and I'm trying to share my faith. I really don't know what all that means, but I'm rapping, which really was setting me up to be a preacher.
Mm.
And man, I did that for a minute, and he scholarshiped me so that I could stay in school. And then he sent me on a tour over the summer to go to various stations where students from Liberty were ministering in New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia.
Wow.
So this was in 1987. So I took off and went to New York first. And in New York, man, I surrendered to the call to preach God's word, because I knew God was calling me to preach his word.
Yeah.
But he used rap music to get me to that place.
So let me ask you this
went
question
on.
real quick. So just to kind of back up for a quick second, and I'm gonna let you get back to the story. So would it be safe to say that you are the first rapper to be on scholarship at Liberty University?
I never thought of it that way, but yeah. And let me say this too. There were other rappers at Liberty. Matter of fact, I was in a group called Revelation.
Okay.
And we had one performance, and it was like halftime at a basketball game. But in that group was a guy named Todd Peck, who's a pastor right now. And then another guy named Barry Lyons, who's ministering in Israel right now. He's moved to Israel. Then another guy named Toby Mac, who people know as the brother that went to DC Talk, and Toby Mac.
Really?
And then myself. So the four of us were in a group called Revelation. Man.
Never knew that.
And
wow,
yeah,
history.
Yeah. And we had a song that we did together in a performance. But we would also battle rap too. We would drive to Roanoke, which is like 50 miles away,
right,
and go to the Roanoke Mall and find suckers to battle rap, because that's what we did back then. So here these Christian rappers finding people to battle rap, and we're flowing on out here talking about people's clothes, but that's what we did. We had a little edge to us. But yeah, I guess I was the first cat to have a scholarship, because I got that scholarship, but then later Jerry Falwell gave our group a scholarship.
Nice.
But I'll back up though. So my sophomore year, I come in, I'm called to preach, and I declare my major in biblical studies. And God puts me in a room with a dude that I knew of, but I really didn't know personally. And I knew him because he had a nice beatbox. And this was Daryl Fitzgerald. God put us in the same room. Again, not too many black people on campus. So when you see another brother around campus, like, hey, brother. Hey.
Yeah.
But God put us in the same room, and we began to hold each other accountable and encourage each other, disciple each other. But he had a funky box. I could flow. And so we were rapping, doing our thing in DeMoss Hall and all of that. And so then this big brother comes to Liberty from Chicago to play football. His name is Andre Sims. And he used to dip and dab in the gang life a little bit. And he would tell his testimony on campus. I think he was with the disciples. And people were mesmerized. But the big thing about Andre is, on a Christian campus, he was sold out for Jesus. Now, again, you expect everybody to be Christ, but it ain't like that. There's a whole lot of lukewarmness on a Christian
Real
campus.
Talk.
So when this big brother came in, sold out for Jesus, and didn't care what anybody thought about him, because, people weren't trying to go all the way for Christ. But this brother went all the way for Christ. So he was setting a tempo, and we ended up connecting because he would sleep in our dorm room because he would work the guard shack. Because back then there was a guard shack.
I remember the guard shack.
So he was a RoboCop. So he would work, and then come to our room and crash. But we would start talking and telling stories and things like that. he like to hear us rap. So then this evangelist came to Liberty named Fred H, and he was talking about
Wait a minute. Who was the
telling people
evangelist
about
again? You cut out there.
Freddie Gage.
Okay.
Freddie Gage. He was like a street evangelist who came, and this whole thing was go tell people about Christ. So after listening to him, we were inspired to say, you know what? Let's go tell our people
Yeah.
about Christ.
Yeah.
And let's put it in a form that they can understand, which is rap music, which was very strong. And this is back in 1988, 87, 88 at the time.
I was in kindergarten, by the way.
Because
Just throwing that out.
was in
Just throwing that out
Oh,
there.
man, golly. Yeah, man. So that's where we started Transformation Crusade.
Yeah.
Because Billy Graham had a crusade, and he's going, to all these places, but who was taking it to the neighborhood?
Yeah.
So we were like, we're going to conquer for the cross, crusade, take it to the neighborhoods, with rap, and then Andre would preach and share his testimony. We had another brother who just passed away. His name was Didi. He would also share his testimony about being delivered from heroin and all that kind of stuff. So we had a package, man, and God anointed us. He had his hand on us, and man, people were coming to Christ left and right throughout ministry, man. For space of a strong 4 years, just wherever we would go, man, people would respond to the invitation that we sent forth. And I mean, we went everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Every major city in the country. Yeah. Bloods, Crips out in Watts. I mean, we're everywhere in Detroit, Chicago, Cabrini Green Projects. We were everywhere on the street.
Wow.
While we're doing street ministry, DC Talk is doing well. They're not in the streets. They're in the concert
right.
So there was a little self-righteousness on our part because we're looking down on them.
Yeah.
It's easy to get self-righteous at Liberty.
Very easy.
and we judged them and all that kind of stuff. And I later apologized to Toby many years later that I judged him and put him down. But a lot of it was just I was jealous of how they were just they had a meteoric rise, man. And so it was like a competition between them and us. And so I remember, man, it was 1987. A dude named Daryl McGee told me about Commissioned.
Wait a minute. Yeah, don't.
Okay,
don't.
I went too far.
You got to back up because I got to ask you this question, bro. One, I actually got two questions because you talked about, you were on scholarship first at Liberty. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, I went to Liberty University as well. And me and Chris's story kind of interconnects, and we'll get to that in a minute. As we get into that commission piece, so hold tight, brother. Don't go too far.
Yeah. But let me go back to that second scholarship.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about.
We had done a summer tour, if you will, in a I think it was a 78 Thunderbird.
Wow.
There were four of us, and then a young lady who was Andre's future wife. Mm-hmm. And she was with the Liberty Gospel Choir and all that stuff. So we would travel. We traveled to 13 cities over the summer and ministered in each city. Mm-hmm. And when we got back, Jerry Falwell had heard about how God had used us. And one place we went in particular, we were in Chicago. And we had, done our concert, preached the gospel, extended invitation. People came forward to receive Christ. They filled out cards. And we came to find out the next day that a young man who was at the concert that night got shot and killed when he got dropped by the bus, shot in his neighborhood. So the next day, people were scrambling to find out if he had made a decision to trust Christ. And lo and behold, there was his name on a card. They had trusted Jesus, and he got shot not long after that. So Falwell heard about that story, and he was like, man, I want y'all to rap on Old Gospel Hour. So we went into Thomas Rowe Baptist Church, all this blue hair, gray hair, white hair, and we up there doing our rap, man. And then he interviewed us on his show. And so after the show, he was broken. Falwell was broken. And he said to us, there are things I've done in my past that I am not proud of. and he about being a segregationist, how he started out. And so he said, but if there's something I can do to help y'all, please let me know. So one of the brothers in the group said, you can help us with our school bill. He said, done. He said, your schooling will be paid from now until how long you want to go to Liberty University. If you want to go into a master's program, I'll pay for it.
Wow.
So from that point on, every time we had to go in for registration, we would let them know that we had a Jerry Falwell scholarship, and they would stamp our paperwork with a red JFS, and the debt was paid. Now, I can preach that when a red JESUS is
Come on, brother,
to our account saying that it's paid in
Come
full.
on, brother.
And it felt good, because I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
but yeah, man. So Falwell got behind us with that and paid for us. So I went all the way and got my master's at Liberty.
Wow, that's crazy. So again, and this is why your story. So now this is my first time actually hearing that story unpacked. Like, I knew about the scholarship. I knew you guys were doing your thing. I didn't know that you had it twice. So this is all educational to me. But I think what you guys did, because there were a lot of people who came after you guys, and I'm one of those individuals. But even before me, there were other guys like, I'll call out some names. You'll probably know these names, like CZ, Curtis Zachary, my man Mac the Doulos, from Philly. Yeah, all those guys came to Liberty, and they came in like maybe a year after they left. About a year after, that's when I came in. And so now let me kind of intertwine my story just a little bit, because you went to Liberty, you got your scholarship, you got your undergrad, your master's degree, you go on and do your thing, but then Liberty brings you back. Okay. I don't know how many times they brought you back since you had left. I don't know. But this particular time, it was the fall of 2002. Okay. They brought you back for kind of like their opening revival, if you would, for the year, called Spiritual Emphasis Week. All right. And in the crowds of Spiritual Emphasis Week was this new kid on the block. Okay. He was just Pdogg. There was no DJ Pdogg then. Okay. It was just Pdogg. I had this crazy idea, 2 years prior, before me even getting to Liberty, to do something with hip hop, traveling, doing ministry. I would tell people and share with them, like, well, what is it going to look like? I don't know. I have no idea, but I know it's going to happen. Okay. So I get to Liberty, and same thing with you. By that time, it's a few more black people on the campus, but still, in comparison, we're still a minority, right? So I get to this church service. It's in the Vine Center. That's where they play basketball and whatnot. And they're like, this guy's going to preach. And I'm like, okay, bet. And I see you, and I'm like, holy smokes, wait a minute. They got a brother. Okay. So I'm like, okay, all right. But Chris, let's keep it a buck for a second, bro.
Come on.
Whenever you're in a predominantly white space and you see a brother, it's like, okay, I see a brother, but like, is he a bruh? You know what I mean?
Right. Oh yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
So I'm listening to you preach. I'm like, man, like this mug is like blessing me right now. And I think it was like on the second day, you said that you were a rapper. Okay, now you've got my attention even more. Okay, and you teased to say maybe I'll rap something, on the last night or something like that. So I'm like, okay, this brother is killing it right now with the preaching, and he can rap. Okay, bet. And then you told us that you are part of the group Transformation Crusade. Okay, and that really rang a bell to me, because before I came to Liberty, I had really dug into becoming a huge fan of Commissioned, and one of their big records is King of Glory. So I'm floored. Like, I'm at Liberty University. I'm hearing this brother preach. He's a part of Transformation Crusade, and he rapped with Commissioned. Game over, bro. Anything this guy says, game over, bro. Like, whatever, bro. It's game over. And then you talked about you kind of gave a little bit of the spill of how you got on scholarship to do hip hop, and that encouraged me even more because it's like, man, I feel this tug to go in this direction, and you're telling me that it's already happened at Liberty, so I'm not coming in trying to create something new. It's already been here.
Yeah.
So that was very encouraging, and I'm gonna pause the story there, okay? Because now we got to rewind. See, I'm intertwining this thing because
Come on, Wick,
you've got to tell us the story. And I see you got the shirt on, bro. You gotta let us see that shirt.
Got it on,
there
man.
it is.
Got it on, man.
Commission, bro.
All day.
And if
all day,
anybody has been following me over the past year, you know that Commission is like my top of the top. Like, I'm not I got tons of music as a DJ. I mean, you see all these records behind me. This is phony, by the way.
Now I've got commissioned LPs right here. I got commissioned LPs right here. They're real.
One day I'm gonna get my collection. I'm gonna get my collection up to game. But nonetheless, I don't even know where I was going with that, bro. I lost my track. Oh, if anybody who knows me, you know I'm a huge Commission fan. All right, so you've got to tell the story, bro. How in the world? Okay, going from Liberty University. How did you connect with the Great Commission?
Well, you might be a commission fan. I'm a commission junkie.
Okay.
So I'm on a whole nother step of being strung out. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, back in '87, and the musical things that we could listen to was very slim. Even though we would sneak and listen to mainstream music, but then when you think about gospel music, it just weren't many options there.
Yeah.
But I had a homeboy who was from Washington, D.C. Again, his name was Daryl McGee. And he was telling us about Commission. And we knew about the Winans.
Right.
But he was telling us about Commission. And he played it for us. And it was like, whoa, this is just smooth. And then we looked at the album covers. And, you know, we're seeing that they look like us. And young dudes. And they got jeans on. And the haircuts are like, yo. I'm like, oh, man. So I started listening and was hooked from day one. And I can't sing a lick, but I sing it when I hear it. Harmonies and what they were saying, and that they were in the word. Their lyrics were sound and solid. Everything was right. So then we went to go see them live. And then to see that they were a band.
Yeah.
That it wasn't like they were playing, you know, soundtracks. They were a band with Fred on bass and Mike on drums, Mike E on guitar. Like they were a band. Mike on the keys. It was crazy. And the singing and their concerts were just so powerful. Like they would start you off high with praise.
Yeah.
And they come out jamming and jamming. But before they even did that, they would do a rumble track where Ray, who was Fred's brother, would play a rumble track, like this bass to just get all up in your chest. And then they would have a smoke machine. So again, you're tripping watching all this.
Yeah.
And they're like a born again version of Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
It was just funky. And then they start high, and then they stay up there for a minute. Then they would come down, man, for worship. And then they would testify about whatever they were going through. I remember Mitch had just came out of a car accident, and Fred's wife had been sick, and they were testifying about God's healing power, what God could do. And then they would close the show, back going up on a crescendo. Then they would come back out for an encore. Man, I've never been to a concert like a Commission concert. And they were like that every time, because we would travel and see them whenever they were up and down the Eastern Seaboard. We were going to check them out in Washington, Virginia, D.C. We were going to go hear Commission. Man.
Yeah.
And so we were going around, you know, as junkies. So they got used to seeing us around. And I remember one day we were able to get on their tour bus. I think it was before show, after show, not sure. But we got on their tour bus. And we began to tell them how much they mean to us, being at Liberty University, not having many musical options. We just told them. And then we told them that we rap. We're a group. And so they were like, you know, do a little something for us. Now, I got to tell you now, Keith Staten was my dude, and he still is. Yeah. So when I would listen to Commission at that time, like, I was so drawn to Keith and his voice and his heart for worship. So I remember I would always talk to Keith about his quiet time. Man, talk to me, man. What can I learn from you? So I'm wanting to impress Keith when I rapped for this first time for them on the bus. And Fred was in the back, kind of real quiet. He was just watching. And so we do our rap, man. And they're like, yo, that's nice. That's sweet. And again, Fred real quiet. I can't read him well, you know. And then Mike E., who was the guitarist for them, who also became a Christian rapper. He did a little bit of his rap too. And his rap was a little bit more advanced because he had production access that we didn't have.
Right.
So we heard this stuff. It was like, dang, he kind of killing us. This stuff like, ugh. But you know, we were supporting each other. And so in time, Fred hit us up like, man, y'all really got something, man. Y'all got some. Matter of fact, why don't y'all open up for us? You know, so we would find out where they would be, and then we would drive there, and we open up, you know, for 10 minutes, do a few songs or whatever. And again, back then it was just pretty much me and Daryl on a beatbox.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And man, you know, we would get the crowd ready for commission. So Fred, he saw what we did. And we had a song called He's King. And the song would end with us just shouting back and forth that the Lord is King. And it was just like a holy moment. And so when it came time for the number 7 album, Fred said, I want y'all to do that thing y'all do at the end of He's King. I got this song. I want y'all to do that on. So we went to Detroit. This was after he had produced our first record. So he had produced our first record for us because there was a group, that was an investor, I'll say, in Maryland who wanted to make a serious project with us. We'd already made our own project,
Right.
But he wanted to make a project for us. So he put the money up and we asked Fred to produce it. So Fred did it. The project was done. Then Commissioned left Light Record, went to Benson Records.
Okay.
And Fred took that project with him to Benson Records and said, because you're signing us, we want you to sign our guys, Transformation Crusade. So Fred used his power to get us signed to Benson,
Nice.
which was at that time the largest company. And one of their branches was a Frontline or Forefront that had DC Talk on it.
Yeah.
So DC Talk was already blowing up on that branch under Benson. So the company said, okay, we'll take that project. And what they did was they put a cover on our record that looked like DC Talk's record, you know, and put it on a shelf next to DC Talks. So that was like the marketing plan.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they're making number 7 in Dearborn Heights, Studio A. And Fred is like, I want y'all to do that thing. So we come there, man, and they put us in a booth, and I hear it. I hear Marvin's voice on the song, and it's just like crazy. And so they're like, all right, right here in this space, we want y'all thing. And I was just like, man, there's no way. It's just not. So we ended up writing something. I wrote something right there, you know, in the studio, kind of like what they did to Eric. I don't know what room they put me in, but I wrote something that had a little bit of that in it.
Yeah.
That he's king. And then Daryl and I practiced it. And then we went in there and we laid it, man, you know, all in a day. And I'm tripping because DJ Pdogg, you could appreciate this. Up until that time, Commissioned never featured anybody on their records.
Right.
I got to say that to people listening.
Yeah.
They did not feature anybody on their record. So we were the first group or person that was featured before Run
DMC.
Because before Run DMC came on, they featured us. Now they didn't put our name in the jacket, you know, or in the notes and none of that stuff. But that's why I made sure I said, let me put the name Transformation Crusade.
It was in there.
Just in case it didn't put us in the liner, you know what I'm saying? So we are emblazoned on one of the greatest God songs of all time with King of Glory. And man, it's just, I'm just humbled by it, grateful for it. So yeah, that's how that went down.
You know, you ever watched this movie, bro, called Back to the Future?
Way back in the day, yeah.
So there's a scene in Back to the Future 2 where Doc and Marty got to go back to the past and they're going back to a specific date where all this big stuff happened. And Doc is like, it's funny that the guy would pick that particular date. It's like that date is like some type of paradox in the universe or whatever. I feel like that's what it is for number 7, for Commission's number 7. And this is why I say that, because you are the third person who Fred gave an opportunity to. So, you know, I talked to my guy PDA from Pajam. He said, man, Fred put me in a space for number 7. I'm a young guy on the scene, you know, trying to get my chops, you know, and whatnot. And Eric Dawkins, same thing. Fred got him into a room and made him write a record. It came out with I Can't Live Without You. And now you guys, it's almost as if that was the album that really gave Commission the opportunity. They see all these young guns who's loving what they're doing and say, hey, listen, these are the guys who's going to take this thing beyond us. Let's give them that shot. And that's just crazy that number 7, and I'm pretty sure there's probably a ton of more stories that come out. But you said it, bro. Like, honestly, I've never thought about that until you just said it. I don't remember any feature on any record before you guys. So that's huge.
Yeah, man. Yeah, very huge.
Yeah.
Very huge. And I want to say this, and I want to make this clear. My life would not be what it is, nor would I be where I am without Fred Hammond and Commissioned. And that's just not yesterday. That's today as well. There's not a day that goes by that I don't listen to music by Fred Hammond and Commissioned. When I'm walking my dog every morning, I'm Fred Hammond, I'm playing Commissioned. And so they have left an indelible imprint on my life. Keith has sang at our church. Montrell attends our church when he's in town. So I can't get away from these guys. These guys can't get away from me. Fred and I, you know, we're working on something right now, just a little song for a throwback Christian hip hop project that Fred Lynch from PID reached out to me about putting a song on this soundtrack for a movie that they did, pretty much with a lot of the West Coast guys, Dynamic Twins and SFC and all them groups, just kind of tracing hip hop. I think they go back to Michael Peace and Stephen Willie. Now they didn't put us in the movie, but they said, man, we put y'all on the soundtrack. So yeah, man, I love this. By getting a record contract with Benson that Fred Hammond orchestrated, that's what led us, when we graduated, to move to Nashville.
Wow.
The record contract.
Wow.
But when we got here, we lost the contract. Thing I know, I'm working at a church, which leads to me planting the church I pastor now.
God had a plan, bro.
So, again, God had a plan, and Fred Hammond's fingerprints all over God's plan in my life.
So it's crazy now, going back to the Liberty story, when so I'm hearing your story. You finally do your rap, and you know, like I said, you could do, like, after you had the perfect sandwich, bro, as my intro to Liberty. You know, you're a black guy, you're killing it with the word, you rap, and you with Transformation Crusade, and you rap with Commission. Whatever you say, bro. Yeah. Whatever. I'm down. But you talked about that that scholarship. And so during that time, I was in the same boat, bro. Like I was at Liberty University, bro, on straight faith. All right. And so what I began to see was that there were opportunities at the school to audition for groups that would travel and do recruitment. Okay. So the first group that I tried out for, I was trying out to be a drummer for a group at Liberty. Okay. And you'll appreciate this, a group called Chosen. Yeah. And you're familiar with that group.
My brother-in-law.
Because your brother-in-law started that group. Now I didn't get the gig.
Didn't know this, man. You put me on game round.
So I didn't get the gig, but he said to me, he said, hey, I told him, I said, hey man, listen, I know, you probably got a bunch of drummers, because I tried out for drums. So you probably got a bunch of guys chomping at the bit trying to get this spot. I said, but listen, my brother is here as well, and he plays the organ. And he was like, oh man, your brother. I said, listen, my brother plays, bro. Like Shirley Caesar's organist trained him himself. Like he's bad. And so I connected my brother with Phil and Chosen, and my brother started playing and traveling with Chosen. And so, and he got the scholarship. Okay. So now here I am getting my brother put on, and I'm still kind of hanging back. Right. So then I'm walking with a friend of mine, me and a friend of mine, her name is Rosita, and me and her connected, like we were tight, bro. And we connected, and you know what we connected on? Both of us were like commission heads, bro. So that's how we were, we would be, listening to commission, talking about commission. And man, we were walking down the hallway of the school one day, and we see on the board, there's this group called the Sword Dunk Team, and they're looking for a DJ. And she looks at me and says, hey, why don't you go out and check it out? I'm like, come on now. Like they need somebody with turntables and experience. I got music, but, and by this time I was kind of getting into a lot more heavily, a lot of the Christian rap. I started doing radio and whatever. So I had records, I had records for days, but I ain't never had no turntables. She said, just go check it out. You don't know what happened. Just go check it out. So, bro, I go to the tryout, and I'm the only one that shows up to the tryout. And the guy says, look, man, you're the only one here. Do you got turntables? I said, man, I ain't got no turntables. He said, listen, we'll give you a $1,000 scholarship per semester. You go get some turntables, you got the gig. Chris, I had like $400 to my name. Okay? And that was to pay on my tuition, to kind of keep them off my back or whatever. So I called my parents up and say, listen, I need to take this money and go buy these turntables. This is what it is. So they say, go ahead, do what you got to do. So I did it, bro. Bought my first set of turntables, got the gig. As they say, the rest is history.
It's history.
So that's where DJ Pdogg came from. From those.
Wow.
And this happened maybe 2 weeks after you had preached, bro. Like in that 2 week span, it all happened like clockwork, bro. So just for me to even have heard your story, and to be inspired that one, I don't have to create nothing. It's already happened before. How is this going to happen? And I thought I was going to be a rapper, bro. I thought I was going to be a rapper, and thank God he had other plans, because that was not my gig,
Yeah.
And so just to, again, to hear your story, and then fast forward, here I am, I'm traveling with the Sword Team, but then I kind of move over from them and start doing my own thing. And I started creating these little, a movement of Christian hip hop on the campus through radio, through gatherings, through concerts, the whole 9 yards. And me and one of my guys, we formed a group. And I remember Jerry Falwell had called myself and one other guy to a lunch. And we had a meeting. And he said, listen, we want to try this thing and use hip hop as a ministry. And we said, man, whatever you need, we got you. What you need, we got you. And Jerry, he brought us into convocation. So it wasn't the old time gospel hour, but it was the televised convocation. And he had us do our thing on that stage. And I remember, bro, that this is like 2000. At this point, it's like 2004-ish, 2005. Man, he caught so much heat. Like so I'm sure he caught heat for putting you guys on the old time gospel hour back in the 80s. And man, it's crazy how not only your story has inspired me, but even beyond that, bro. Because I remember at that, Spiritual Emphasis Week, you brought your brother-in-law and sister-in-law to give their testimony. That was inspiring. Regina and Jua, they're amazing people, bro. Got to know your father-in-law, Dr. McFarland. He was, me and my wife, while we were dating, we were taking his theology class. And he would only teach it. He would only teach it once a month. And every class, bro, beginning of every class, he would ask the whole class a question. He would say, so, anybody get engaged this weekend?
That sounds
and he would be looking right at me and my wife, bro. And so I feel like our stories are so intertwined and connected, bro.
Amen.
So it's crazy, man. Wow. It's crazy to hear your story, bro. And even you to hear mine. It's like, I think it's just amazing how all these things. Like you going to Liberty, bro. That time I'm in kindergarten, and here's what's weird: the school that I was at when I was in kindergarten was called Liberty. So I don't know. I'm just playing on words now, bro. You know how we do in hip hop. We just playing on words.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Well, it's encouraging to hear your story on a lot of levels. One level is it reminds me that my labor is not in vain.
Absolutely.
When I'm trying my best to plant seeds, to be obedient, to do what the Lord tells me to do, to preach his word, which will never return void, that he has a way of touching lives, even using, again, my story of being a rapper on scholarship to give you that spark to say, man, what God did before, he can do again with me. And that you were able to get the desire of your heart to be able to do hip hop, to be a DJ, and to be able to be scholarship.
Yeah.
Once again, saying that your gift will make room for you and that we've never seen the righteous forsaken nor their seed begging bread. And you didn't have to compromise what God put in you. But God wanted that developed right there at Liberty.
Yeah.
And for Jerry Falwell to see that in you and to take that chance,
yeah.
knowing that there would be repercussions. But that's one of the things I loved and respected about him, because if it was about the gospel, if it was about people coming to Christ, then he was down with it. And he got behind it. And we had some conversations, and he told us stuff that he said, I would never say these things on camera in front of people, but he told us about many of the people that he would debate back in the day, Jesse Jackson, that off camera, him and Jesse were friends.
Right.
So he had a persona, he had a way about him. And I know people who went to Liberty who would hear Jerry Falwell talk and trusting God to get this mountain and to build this building. And because of that seed, they rose up and had faith as well that God could provide them. And so with all of the warts and some of the struggles that we've had at Liberty and what has come out as of late, we can't deny how God still hit a bullseye with a crooked stick in our lives. Just recently, I started letting people know I went to Liberty. There was a time I didn't want nobody to know I went to Liberty. But just recently, I've been saying, because that's my story.
Yeah.
That's where I obeyed. I stepped out on, and God met me. Mm-hmm. So I can't get away from what he did in my life at
Absolutely.
Liberty. And I don't know if I'll get invited to speak again, but that's all right. Another conversation.
But you were just there recently because Regina was there speaking.
Regina was speaking, yes. And Nasser had made available for family members to come and support her. And so Dorena, my wife, came. I came with her to support Regina. So and that was the first time I've been back probably since my son graduated from Liberty in 2017.
Wow.
My son Dante graduated from Liberty. So that was probably the last time I was there.
Nice. And I'll be back at Liberty. Well, by the time people see this, that'll be over with by now. But April 9th, I'll be there for College for a Weekend doing a concert.
You on the ones and twos?
Yeah, man.
You on the ones and twos?
They bringing the old man back.
What?
One night only.
Oh, man.
One night only.
Oh, man. Oh, boy.
Yeah, man.
If I wasn't 8 hours away, I might try to make that.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy because the theme it's going to be like a Soul Train kind of theme, bro. So it's going to,
Wow.
we're going to be doing everything that you guys couldn't do. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's going to be a crazy good time, bro. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a minute since I've been to Liberty. But man, I got so many, like, again, I'm with you, bro. To be honest, if I can be honest as well, over the last couple of years, it's been a struggle talking about, my time at Liberty. But the reality of it is, that's a part of my story too. It is what it is. Like I got a chance to tour and travel with Lecrae, and I met him when he came to Liberty by way of Kids Across America to do some recruiting there. And that's how him and I connected. Yeah. Again, my DJ career started there. And I'm still connected with a lot of people there to this day. So I'm looking forward to going back and chopping it up with people. And I'm happy to see that they're on a better path. And so I'm in a place now where it's like, man, anything that I could do to help them continue and to encourage, those hip hoppers that are still there. Because I know a lot of the young
Yeah.
guys that are still there, that are doing their thing, and some of them, they look at me like, oh man, we know what you did while you were here. And I'm like, man, there was so many that came before me. Like there would be no
Mm,
me without the Chris Williamsons and the CZs and the Mac the Dulos,
yeah.
and the Sims,
Yeah.
all you guys, bro. Like it wouldn't be
Mm,
nothing. There wouldn't be a DJ Pdogg without you guys paving that way. So,
yeah.
man, for that, my brother,
Yeah.
I salute you, and I thank you for what you've done, bro. Now, I can't let you go without talking about this, okay? Because you connected with a very good friend of mine, my man Aaron McCain, also known as Cannon, and you just produced
Hmm.
and released some records.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. You didn't think I was
Oh
gonna let you
man,
get away with
you
it? Talk about that, bro.
no, I didn't know you knew Aaron like that, man.
Oh,
You
bro,
know everybody, don't you?
man. Listen, we
Man,
were we were this close to being a group. Me and
wow,
Cannon. Yeah,
wow,
yeah. Because he used to
man,
tour with
man,
both of us toured with Lecrae at the same time. And so we had
wow,
those
wow.
conversations, and it was almost a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, man. That is my son,
yeah.
my spiritual son. He calls me pops, and they just moved. He and his wife Rich just moved to Arizona last year,
Okay,
and but have been a strong tower for a number of years and served the church and helped me in so many ways. That's my brother. That's my dude. That's my son. And he knew, of course, that I rapped. And he would always try to edge me on, like, "Hey, man, once a rapper, always a rapper." And I'm like, "Man, look, dude, I'm prehistoric. I'm old school. These kids are not going to get down with me." He's like, "No, man, you need to come back. You need to do something." I'm like, "No, man, I don't know. I don't know. I can't do it." So then, the Lord he wouldn't let it go. And the Lord was like, "Yeah, once a rapper, always a rapper." So, Aaron was encouraging me, man, get my confidence up. So I said, "All right, man, I'll cut something." So I'd reached out to Fred Hammond because I knew that they were doing the reunion
mm-hmm.
stuff, and I said, "Man, if I do this, I'll just do my old stuff remixed." And Fred was like, "Well, if you do that, man, just have fun. Whatever you do, have fun." But I was like, man, I got to write some stuff. I can't go out completely like that. So I rewrote some of the old
Yeah,
songs. I just rewrote them, and I did a couple new ones too. And Aaron produced the whole project, paid for it himself for me to do it as his pastor.
nice.
And he and his wife helped me put it out on Spotify and all those other
Mm-hmm.
streaming platforms that I didn't know anything about. Because again, I'm still old school now. I'm still downloading off Apple iTunes.
Well, that's not too
And
old
he's like,
school,
"Pops,
but I
it,
guess in
you know,
2021 that's old school, right?
yeah, yeah." But like I don't have an account with Spotify
Got you.
because I'm like, no, I'm not gonna stream music. I'm gonna own my music.
Right.
So that's how I am. I'm gonna buy, and my computer's gonna be full with thousands of songs versus me streaming it. But anyway, yeah, he got me going and everything. So yeah, man. And then then he fooled around and rapped on a couple of songs on it to give it some legitimacy. So yeah, that's my guy. That's my
Nice,
guy, man.
nice. Hey man, I got two more questions for you, and I meant to ask you this earlier because you were talking about commission, and because King of Glory is not all you guys did with commission,
Right.
okay? Because you guys wrote a rap for "If My People."
If my people, yeah, yeah, that we would come out during the concert. So we would open up for them and then stand in the back like a fan and just enjoy the show. Then when they would get to If My People, we would come out and do this rap that we wrote during the musical break, the drum break in it. And so Fred, he's so good, he learned it, and then they started doing it, themselves. So when they did their reunion, their first concert in, I think it was Cincinnati,
Mm-hmm.
their first show,
Yeah,
he was like, "Yeah, man, I want you to come up here and I want you to do that rap on If My People, man." So I said, "Okay, all right." So they were wearing all white. So I went out and got me an all white outfit and everything. I was practicing, make sure I could do the rap. And we get there, and Fred is like, "Man, it's shifted. The guys want to do the rap themselves. They want to do it." So I say, "Hey, man, that's cool." So him and Marvin and Mitch, people need to see a change, a rearrange, because they'd always done it, when we weren't there.
bro.
So yeah,
It's the most.
I wrote
It's
that.
the most.
Didn't get no royalties for that jammy though. So that's praise the Lord.
It's the most funniest thing to me because I watched that film. I got to see him. I got to see the reunion in DC, and I've gone back and watched old tapes, bro. I'm telling you, I think Marvin Sapp wanted to be a rapper.
Fred definitely wanted to be a rapper.
Man, when those guys start rapping that verse, it's like they and
Yeah, they come
no
alive.
pun intended. They have a transformation, bro.
Yeah, they do. They do. They do. They do. Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. I remember when they filmed the video for it. We were still in school at Liberty at the time.
Yeah.
And so we had to drive to Nashville for the video shoot. And I didn't understand the concept of the video, but they were shooting, all day long as if it was a rehearsal session. So they did a lot of the songs to Number 7. And then we came and we did the video for King of Glory, which again was a whole lot of fun. And I didn't know how long that song was, because while we're making the video, I'm like, okay, when's the song gonna fade out? Because it ain't a lot of room on the stage. You can't really dance or do much, and I wasn't much of a dancer anyway. I'm like, man, this song going on forever. He's a little good talking my thing. But those are just great memories. Then we went to a gym and played basketball after that.
Nice.
And Mitch is a baller. Mitch is one of them ballers. Not only can he play, but he got attitude.
Yeah.
He one of them dudes that he gonna cross you up. He gonna try to make you look bad. So it was, again, good to just hang with them, man, and just see these cats, man. Real brothers, good cats.
Absolutely. That seemed like that's probably like part of their whole thing, bro. Because I was talking to Park Stewart a few months ago, and he said when they first started, even before Commission was commissioned, they would write songs, record, and then go play basketball. Like that was just their thing. So I could definitely see that. I wanted to ask you this question, bro, specifically about DC Talk.
Yeah.
Because you said that you were a part of a group with Toby. And I want to ask this real question. Because I know you said, by the time they got their thing and you guys had your thing, it was kind of like that trying to be neck and neck kind of thing. Did you ever feel any regret from parting ways with him from the music when you saw their situation blow up?
Great question. Nope, never did. Because what they were doing was their thing.
Yeah.
And they had a great thing. Kevin, I tell Kevin, man, you have one of the greatest voices I have ever heard in any genre. And when he and Mike got together, I mean, they just had something. It was the hand of God. They had the Midas touch. And Toby was the orchestrator. They could write songs. Like they had their thing. So I don't have any regrets because we did what we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And Transformation Crusade was an outreach ministry. We weren't musical. We were preachers who could rhyme. That was pretty much it.
Got you.
And when we tried to become musical, that's when I feel God lifted his hand off of us and said, that season is done. The evangelism. Okay, all that evangelism. Now I want y'all to shepherd people. I want you to disciple people and not just see them come in. I want you to help them grow up.
Yeah.
So when I look back at it, there are no regrets. And what a lot of people may not know is that I was Toby's pastor here in Tennessee, man, 10 years. I don't know however long. Baptized as children.
Wow.
So and we're still friends to this day. But no regrets. But I did sit down with him in his house, and I just felt it was necessary for me to say to him, hey, man, I want to apologize to you for shading you back in the day. Because there were groups that were jealous of him, and I won't name any of the names of the Christian rap groups. But it was kind of like, the Elvis thing. Here's a white dude that's in our genre that's taking it somewhere that we're not even taking.
Yeah.
And some of that was because of the melanin, but some of it was also because, again, God's hand was on them, and they were white, as I mentioned, but they could sing. They had something.
Yeah.
They had songs. But I had to say, hey, man, I want to tell you I'm sorry, man. And he was gracious to me. But I had to get that off my chest.
Yeah.
I confessed it to the Lord, but I wanted to confess it to him that there was jealousy in terms of how their group blew up.
Yeah.
And our group blew apart, but that was God's plan for us. It went as far as it was supposed to go.
Yeah.
And then, man, hey, he changed my heart from evangelism to shepherding and pastoring, and I ended up doing something I said I would never do, and that's plant a church, yet alone plant a multiracial church.
And you're doing it, bro. Like I said, I got a chance to come out there and see you guys in action, which was huge for me. Like I was out in Nashville for like a week that particular time, and I knew who you were. You didn't know me from anything, and we got back to the visitors area, and you meeting everybody. Say, yeah, man, I'm here with my man Ben, and we were at Liberty. You said, oh, you from Liberty? Hold tight right there, and went out to eat with you guys. And I remember we were sitting down at lunch, bro, and this lady came over, and she's talking to you, and she's saying how much she enjoyed the message and whatnot. And you tell her like, yeah, hey, let me introduce you to my man P and Ben. They from Liberty and whatnot. So, oh yeah. And she had mentioned something about, wanting to possibly go back to Liberty or something or whatever. Now as a recruiter, I turned on the recruiting mode immediately. And I said, hey, we can get you signed up. We can get you signed up right now. She's like, oh, no, I got family. I said, no, we got the online program. You got to leave home, the whole nine. And she laughs it off, and, she goes back to her table. And you looked at me and said, hey, man, do you know who that is? And I said, nah, I have no idea who that is. You said, man, that's Toby Mac's wife. And I said, oh, she don't need my help to get into Liberty. Toby can make a phone call, and that's a wrap,
Wow. Man, I don't remember none of that. I'm just glad it's not something like, yeah, man, you threw your food on somebody.
Nah, none of that. Listen, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on the show, bro. Let everybody know where they can keep up with you, man, because you got a lot of great things going. You got the church going on. You got, you do online services as well. Let everybody know how they can keep up with you, bro.
You can get me on Facebook, Chris Williamson. You can get me on Instagram. I believe my name is It's Pastor Chris. My kids changed my name. I think it's Pastor Chris. And then on Twitter, I think it's also It's Pastor Chris or something like that. Just put my name in, Chris Williamson, but I'm on all that stuff, man. And hey, I'm doing my best to keep up with the kids.
I heard that. Has anybody ever asked you, are you related to Zion Williamson?
No. I thought about getting his jersey just so I could wear it because there's Williamson on the back.
I'm wondering if anybody's ever asked Zion Williamson, hey, are you related to Chris Williamson? I wonder if that's ever happened.
Man, but you know what, though? I wouldn't be surprised because like you said at the beginning, yesterday, Chuck D decided to follow me on Twitter. And so he's in my top 5.
There you go.
So for Chuck D to follow me, man, because I had to correct him. He had said something about, Dr. Martin Luther King is a great man, all this kind of stuff. And I interjected. I said, wait a minute, Chuck. At the beginning of the Fight the Power video, you put down Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement, and you called it 63 nonsense because they were marching and they were being nonviolent. And I said, so now you're saying he's, a great guy. And so Chuck D apologized, man. He's like, you know what? That was when I was 28 years old and I was brash and I didn't think a whole lot. But now I'm able to admit my mistakes. And then the brother followed me after that. So
there you go.
So my wife is like, well, I hope he goes and he listens to your sermons. I hope he goes.
Hey, you never know.
So, yeah, babe, who knows? You never know.
You never know.
Zion follows a brother. Man, I've seen God do stuff in my life, man. Man, I have been blessed in so many ways. He's put me in many rooms that my name was in the room before my feet got there. So I'm not surprised on anything that God can do, how he can use anyone, anywhere, anytime for his glory.
Indeed.
So, hey, whether I preach it or I rap it, talk it, live it, I'm going to let my light shine for Jesus, man. I love him. I thank God for his grace and his mercy, his kindness. Man, I love being born again. I love God. And I couldn't imagine my life without Jesus, man. So,
amen.
And I'm glad to talk to another young brother that's got that fire in his belly and uses his gifts that many people would say you can't use. That's that worldly stuff. Well, if it's that worldly stuff, I'm going to use it to reach the world. I'll tell you that.
There you go.
So, man,
I like
keep
that.
Doing your thing, man.
Yeah.
And I watch your podcast. I get encouraged. I learn stuff. I laugh. And like this morning, I was listening to one of your loops that you did with a Secret Place from Commissioned.
Yeah.
I was like, now, where'd he get that intro?
I created it, bro.
That intro going a long time. You creep, man. Because I was like, he must. And then I was trying to watch your hands. I'm like, is he looping this? and it kept going and going, and you were talking over top of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then it went right into Carl singing. I said, how this Negro do that?
Yeah, man. I took a long time creating that. It's funny because when I was watching the Cincinnati show, Fred Hammond said something when they were playing Secretly. He said, man, we had this record before Usher did. And I listened and said, holy crap, it sounds exactly like the Usher record, no matter how much. And so I went and found the instrumental, and I said, bro, that's the same record. And so that melody piece at the intro of The Secret Place, that's the Usher version. Okay? The little clicks or whatever, I put that in there.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And I blended it together. It's
he stole that from them.
Bro, it's the same record. It's the same record, bro. I'm gonna have to.
Then I saw something today that Brian McKnight took a piece out of like So Good to Know the Savior or something like that, and put it on one of his songs.
The crazy thing is, Commissioned has influenced all those guys. Mm-hmm. All those guys. You know, when I had Parks on the show, I showed him, Jamie Foxx and Tank singing Ordinary. Justin Bieber has been influenced by Commissioned. Boys to Men, the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
Like they're
Shaka Khan.
Bro, listen. Their music has influenced so many people. It's unbelievable. And
before COVID hit, man, they were really picking up steam with that tour. And so I hope they can get back on it because they were being introduced to a whole new generation. Like the old heads, we knew what was about to happen.
Yeah.
But then for the new folks, like people who didn't even know Marvin Sapp sang with Commissioned. They're like, what?
Yeah.
People didn't know Fred Hammond sang with Commissioned.
And when I first got on Commissioned, I didn't know that.
Let me tell you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I remember the first time Marvin sang publicly with Commissioned. I was there.
I got that film.
We were filming the Bobby Jones Gospel show.
Wow.
And Keith had just left the group. And so they had done the song, If You Can't Tell It, Let Me Tell It.
Let me tell it.
And so Marvin was going to have to sing Keith's part.
Right.
So Marvin was a little nervous, and he and Mike Williams was in the back in the dressing room, like fighting with each other, playing around. But they were irritating each other. And I remember back then, Marvin probably ain't going to like this, but I remember we were the guys who introduced Marvin to the NIV study Bible. Marvin was like, let me see y'all's Bibles, And back then it was all big and stuff. And he was looking at it like, wow. So to look at how God took him, and I'm not that much older than him, but to see how God has grown him to be a pastor, to be an entrepreneur, to be a great leader. And you look back, you say, man. And then when that boy opened his mouth up, it was like he was the saved Luther.
Bruh.
Like he had that depth. And then he could go high. It was just, and then when you hear his story, that he was also a commission junkie back in the day. Like it's just the way God has used this group, man.
Yeah.
To touch so many people.
Yeah, man. As a matter of fact, the last show that they did on that tour, bro, that was the DC show. I was at that show. I drove 4.5 hours to get there, bro. I got a rental car.
Where's home for you? Where's home?
I'm in Durham, North Carolina.
Oh, okay. You over there with John P. Key.
John P. Key, bro. Durham, North Carolina, outside the county line. Okay.
Outside the county line, baby. Come on, baby. That's my man too, man.
Yeah, him and my mom went to school together. Yeah. He's a great dude, bro. Like he's a cool guy. But Fred is cool too. I got a chance to meet Fred because when I was touring with Lecrae, we used to do a lot of events with Fred and Marvin, and those guys are just cool dudes, man. Like they're, and I tried my hardest not to be like fanboy because it would be funny because they would be at some of the same events, Marvin and Fred. And I'd be like, man, okay, y'all are cool separate, but man, what if y'all like surprised us and did a little something, just because y'all here, you here, you know what I mean? They would never do it, but but nonetheless, man, we could go on and on. Like, I mean, man, listen, you talk about bro, I listen to them every single day. I got a Spotify playlist. I just ordered me a headband so that I can keep my earbuds in my ear while I'm asleep. So I'm listening to Commission while I'm asleep now, you know. And it's been like that even while I was at Liberty. All my roommates, they know all Commission because I had a playlist.
That's right.
Playing nothing but Commission, you know. So man, we could go on and on.
Yeah, man.
About those guys, bro.
On and on.
Yeah. You guys heard my man Chris. Great stories. Great guy, man. Make sure you guys follow him. I'm gonna have all his information in the show notes, and I will be back. Actually, I'm gonna close out the show here because we went way over our original time, but nonetheless, Pastor Chris, man, great guy. Listen, make sure you follow him. Again, all the information will be in the show notes, and you make sure you follow me on all social platforms: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at DJ Pdogg, and of course on all the platforms where you guys may be watching the show or listening to the show, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audible, iHeartRadio, and of course, DJPdogg.com. All right? Listen, I will be back next week with another show for you guys. I don't know who we got coming on, but I'm sure it's going to be amazing. All right? So listen, thank y'all for tuning into the show. I'm going to holler at you guys later. One love. Peace. Thank you for checking out DJ Pdogg in the Mix podcast. Please subscribe via YouTube and hit that notification button. Also subscribe via Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Audible.